discovering and exploring one's values and principles and beliefs is also very important. A lot of us are carrying values and principles and beliefs that are not necessarily our own, right? You have a belief system that is an extension of somebody else's faith. You are carrying your grandmother's, your mother's, and whoever else's, but you are yet to engage your faith. You are yet to interrogate your faith, understand it for what it is. Good day, beloveds. How do you do? Welcome to Talks from the Heart with Mender, brought to you by Agape Wellness Coaching, a place where being begins to truth. I am Mender, a spirituality teacher and transformational relationship coach, as well as founder of Agape Wellness Coaching, and I'll be journeying with you. Only this time, we're talking heart to heart. Welcome once again, beloveds. I'm your host, Mender, still journeying with you, talking heart to heart. Last Friday, we glossed over the concepts of our main focus, which is spiritual and psychological wellness in relationships. So in the next 2 to 3 upcoming episodes, we will be discussing each concept in depth so that we will have an understanding and thorough knowledge of the concepts and their relatedness to all areas of our beings and how we as beings are affected by these states of being. Now, we are going to delve further into the concept of wellness so that when we consciously and intentionally pursue wellness and well-being, we know exactly what it is and how our lives are impacted by lack or having attained the state of being. Now, last week in our gloss over, I defined the wellness concept as thus. Wellness is a state of being that occurs when an individual awakens to the understanding that all facets of their being are important, interconnected, interdependent, codependent, and can impact each other at any given time. And one such individual will achieve this state of being through consistent and intentional effort to integrate body, mind, and spirit completely and harmoniously to achieve the necessary balance that will help foster holistic well-being and wellness, right? See, wellness speaks of one's overall health rather than physical health. It is not just about being disease, illness, and stress-free, but more about having a well-intended balance and harmony in all areas of our beings, a state of being that is brought on most often by one's innate desire for a purpose-led and fulfilled life. It is about taking conscious and intentional effort in our engaging all aspects of our lives. It is imperative that we take care of our well-being and invest in our wellness. Now, let's establish a clear understanding of what wellness really means. Again, it is more than just physical health. It is a holistic approach encompassing the mind, body, and spirit. Wellness is about finding a well-intended balance and harmony in the various aspects of our lives. Personally, I'd like to think of wellness as a dynamic process of change and growth. I believe it is all about our transformation and our growth as beings. Now, what does wellness mean to you? Remember to leave me a comment in the comment section below or go on to our website at www.agapewellness-center.com. Again, www.agapewellness-center.com. Leave me your comment. What does wellness mean to you? What does wellness mean to you? Now, the reality is that most of us struggle to achieve the state of wellness for various reasons. Again, I repeat, most of us do struggle to achieve the state of wellness for various reasons. And as we go on to further discuss the concept of wellness, I'd like for us to, in fact, unpack the concept of wellness in its entirety. Even though our focus will be on spiritual and psychological wellness in relationships, I would like for us to actually discuss this concept with all its pillars so that when we are intentionally pursuing wellness, we understand what it really means and how these various dimensions of wellness can affect us in our relationships in our everyday life. All right. So I'm not only going to focus on spiritual wellness and psychological well-being in relationships for this episode. I'm going to unpack the wellness concept in its entirety so that we get to understand again the wellness concept and what it really is and how our lives are impacted by the various dimensions of this state of being. Now, like I've said before, most people have not heard of wellness as a standalone concept because of the broad use of the term and the fact that the concept itself is multidimensional, and often when it is spoken of, it is in reference of various pillars or dimensions, never without the various anchors. It is never discussed as wellness so that you understand it as a concept for what it is, without just zooming in on the one anchor or the one dimension and pillar. That is why most people never really understand it for what it is. Because of its multidimensional nature, people tend to think, in relation to the anchor or whatever dimension they choose to focus on. But really, it is a very broad concept with these various dimensions, and it is imperative that we understand the various dimensions and how they affect our lives, because wellness is not just anchor based, it's not just one dimension based. In fact, it is a harmonious state of being where all the dimensions are engaged and well balanced. And when I'm saying engaged, I mean actively, intentionally, consciously engaged to maintain that balance and harmony, right? So when you're focusing on just one area, one dimension, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. But because I don't specialize in all the other areas, I focus where my strengths are. That's why I will be focusing on just these two. But again, I want you to still understand what wellness is. These various pillars or dimensions within the broader concept of wellness are often considered by many as separate based on what dimension one chooses to primarily focus on and the basic understanding of the wellness concept, right? So these various dimensions and pillars are also, again, interconnected, interdependent, codependent, and can impact each other at any given time if balance and harmony are not the experience of the individual pursuing wellness. Some wellness practitioners, of course, and schools believe that there are 5 dimensions, and some will say 6, some will say 7, 8, 9. But what is important is that they all agree on the important and core understanding of the wellness concept itself and its multidimensional nature. That is what is important. How many pillars they choose to assign to this concept is not of importance. What is important is that they understand its true meaning. They understand it for what it is as a concept and the multidimensional nature of the concept. When one acknowledges that, that's the most important part, right? So as we explore these dimensions, I will limit my exploration to the foundational and primary dimensions. And I'm going to start with spiritual wellness because that will be our area of focus, as well as it's all where it starts, really. And you will understand why I'm starting with spiritual wellness once we discuss next week's episode, where we will be focusing on the whole man, right? So yes, spiritual wellness. Now, what does spiritual wellness mean to you as a being out there? Now, what is spiritual wellness? Well, spiritual wellness does not solely refer its focus to one's religious beliefs, but rather it's encompassing all aspects of one's journey as they live out their spirituality, growing and nurturing the awareness of their conscious connectedness with the divine self and others, environments, and nature included. It is about intentionally being who one truly is at the root of their being, finding meaning and living out their life's purpose. The more one intentionally and consciously engages this dimension of their wellness, they nurture the spiritual aspect of their being, and that is the beginning of one's experience of better spiritual health. One will experience inner peace and clarity that will lead to a meaningful and purpose-driven life. Remember, our spiritual journeys really starts with a seeking and longing for something greater, right? And as we discuss spirituality in the upcoming episodes, you will understand why it is important to engage this area of your being. But in the meantime, we are going to move on to activities that one can engage in to promote spiritual wellness. For you to promote your spiritual wellness, you need to start with making time for activities that enhances and nurtures one's sense of connection to God, the divine, the source, oneself, others, and one's environment, nature included. Creating a healthy relationship with one's immediate environment and those in it. Understanding that the higher self is connected to all things, to all that is, was, and forever will be. The understanding that our connectedness to God is not limited to just us having a relationship with God. Rather, it is more about having a relationship with everything that exists in and around us. Understanding that when you're in nature, God is in nature. When you are interacting with others, you understand that God is within you and in them, right? You are one with the others. You are all part of the greater whole as beings, and you are in them and they are in you. Your environment is in you and you are in it. God is in you and you are in him or her. The higher consciousness, the source, the divine. You are in them and they are in you. It matters not your belief system, as long as you believe that there is a higher being that is higher than you and that you're connected to them and they are the source of this greater whole to which we all belong. Then whoever they are to you, or however you describe them, it is our connectedness that matters, our conscious connectedness, our awareness of our conscious connectedness to the being is what is important. We must nurture that. You are connected to all that is, was, and forever will be. So you creating a relationship with the understanding, with the awareness of your connectedness to all these things, it helps you as you engage this aspect of your being, as you consciously engage the spiritual dimension of the wellness concept. Discovering and exploring one's values and principles and beliefs is also very important. A lot of us are carrying values and principles and beliefs that are not necessarily our own, right? You have a belief system that is an extension of somebody else's faith. You are carrying your grandmother's, your mother's, and whoever else's, but you are yet to engage your faith. You are yet to interrogate your faith, understand it for what it is. Your value system, your values and principles, you are just carrying everybody else's, but really not seeing who you are as a being, not engaging your core to understand, are these really my values or am I carrying somebody else's? And when you are engaging in self-exploration, you'll find that most of these values and principles and even beliefs will fall away, and you will start creating for yourself beliefs and principles and values that are true to who you are as a being. And another thing to do is to discover and embrace who you are. Who you are as a being, your purpose, your purpose, remember, is your why. Who you are, your where you're from and where you're going. All these things, they are what brings us to this path of journeying into the spiritual, wanting to understand who we are and to even engage the divine, the source, God, and ourselves, our higher selves, as to how am I going to navigate this realm, because I know I'm here and now I've come to understand my purpose as a being, but really, how am I engaging this realm to better and efficiently serve the whole to which I belong? Right? So when you do the self-exploration and discover all these things, a lot of us tend to struggle with embracing who we truly are, because we get to discover things that are actually not as we expect. We discover the good and the bad alike, and we have a hard time embracing the bad, but the good we want, right? So the good and bad alike make who we are a balanced being. So we want to embrace all of that, right? And be sure to extend a helping hand to others in need, as this will help when one is intentionally living their purpose. It opens avenue for expression and service to the greater whole in a more meaningful and fulfilling way, if your intention is to live a fulfilled and purpose-driven life. Now, you also have to, as you learn to embrace and accept yourself, accept others, extend grace to yourself as you would to another, as you have come to know and understand your core values and principles. Open your heart and mind to understanding that the other person out there may not hold the same values and beliefs as you do, but they are equally human and they have as much right and freedom to be just as you do. So remember to accept others and always extend grace to others and yourself. The hardest thing to do also is extending grace to oneself. A lot of people struggle with this area. I know I used to struggle with extending grace to myself. I'd be so gracious to others, but when it comes to me, it was a problem. But I learned how to now, right? So another thing again to do is learn that it's a journey. It's not something, it's not a destination, it's a journey. So you fall, you will fall, and you will rise. Give yourself grace. Be intentional and fully present in everything that you do and every moment. This will help you get to experience yourself, get to experience the moments for what they truly are, and you will be able to understand what they bring to you, what they're presenting to you. Be part of a community that will support you on your journey. And remember to journal so you get to keep track for self-reflection and also to keep track of your journey. It's for you to see your growth come to life, to see yourself transform, to see your transformation, the spiritual and all other areas, right? Now, I could go on and talk forever on spiritual wellness, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move on to the next pillar for the sake of time and the fact that we need to cover everything. I am going to move on to the next pillar, the next dimension, which is the mental wellness dimension of the wellness concept. Mental wellness. It's one very dear to my heart. A lot of people are suffering in silence in societies where mental health issues are considered a taboo and not talked of, not to be heard of by members of society. Of course, these days we've got mental health professionals coming out to support those who are in need of support. There's much talk about mental health, but are we doing enough? I don't think we are doing enough, seeing how much people are suffering. And I'd love to invite you, mental health practitioners, mental health experts, to come and help us as we discuss mental wellness on this platform. I'm hoping that you join me in supporting others. I really would love to have all of you come here, if I can have all of you, so that we can support those in need. But really, in our fast-paced world, stress and anxiety can take a toll on our mental health. And really finding healthy coping mechanisms, practicing mindfulness, and seeking support when and where needed are essential steps towards mental well-being. So, mental wellness as a pillar is one of those special dimensions, as it encompasses two very important aspects. It is a grand pillar with pillars of its own, two pillars to be precise. Often when people see the wellness wheel, they will see something like emotional wellness and intellectual wellness on the wellness wheel, especially when you're visiting mental health practitioners or wellness practitioners. You will see these two aspects as separate, the emotional wellness and intellectual wellness. These two are just the two aspects of the one dimension, which is the mental wellness dimension. They are two aspects of the mental wellness dimension. Now, of course, in academics, you do learn that these two are in fact two aspects of one primary dimension, which is mental wellness, right? So we don't need to go further into that. In fact, I address both facets as much as I possibly can. And since mental wellness will be part of our primary focus, I would want to just briefly gloss over so we can move on to other aspects that will be a once-off discussion, right? So we will start with the emotional facet of mental wellness. The emotional aspect of our mental wellness is a dynamic state that is ever-changing, right? It fluctuates as it is impacted by other dimensions of our wellness. Emotional wellness really involves one's awareness of the emotions, facing them, exploring our spectrum of emotions so that we're able to identify and know the triggers, feel the emotions, good or bad, for what they truly are and what they present unhindered, so that we can fully experience every event, moment, and situation intentionally and consciously, so as to engage life with authenticity and confidence. And this will help us further develop the ability to honor the emotions of others so as to maintain healthy and fulfilling relationships, and consciously crafting effective control and coping mechanisms for dealing with the ever-changing dynamics of life, difficult or easy, and building resilience that will help us overcome hurdles that pop up along the journey, right? So we want to engage this area of our wellness. We want to fully immerse ourselves in this area of our wellness. Mental wellness is essential for our function, our day-to-day functioning. We need this. Okay. So now, quick tips for emotional wellness. Tune into your feelings and your thoughts. Take time to identify the triggers and take time to understand the trigger and the effect it has on you, why it affects you the way that it does. Open yourself to allow the flow of whatever the emotion to flow through you and your being, and engage that feeling. Being aware of our emotions and what they are is an important part of our reaction and response to situations, right? So it is imperative before you react or respond, before you do that, take a moment to allow the flow of this emotion, feel it, live it for a moment, so that you can understand, does this situation require a response or a reaction, right? Now, develop the ability to feel and express a wide range of emotions. Feel and express whatever emotion one may be feeling at any given time in a healthy manner that'll help you cultivate and protect your well-being and that of those to whom emotions are being expressed. Because sometimes in our expression of emotions, we're not thinking about the well-being of others. We're simply thinking about our well-being, how we feel after we've expressed what we've expressed. But in fact, what needs to happen is that as we express what we express, we do it in a manner that is healthy, that protects our well-being and the well-being of those to whom emotions are expressed. Is that clear? Because emotional abuse can happen as a result of trying to express emotions that we are feeling are bubbling up inside of us. And we just want to be free of these emotions without taking to cognizance that as we want to be free of these emotions, the damage that can be done if we don't express these emotions in an effective and healthy manner. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but I hope you do. Learn vulnerability. Learn vulnerability. I know that we cannot be vulnerable with all and everybody, but it is important to have people that you can trust for support. It is important that you have a support system. Know when you're limited. Allow yourself to be limited when you are limited and get the support that you need. Be vulnerable enough to open yourself to others, to be able to pour yourself out to others when there is need. See, most of us are so used to being strong that being vulnerable is a taboo. And we know it. You know who you are. That we're so used to being strong and guarded that when moments of vulnerability present themselves to us, instead of understanding what they are, we jump to being strong. We move from being weak to being strong, when in fact, being weak opens you to receiving support and love and being encouraged by others. Remember, sometimes in your most strong moments, most courageous moments, it's not just your courage, it's not just your strength. It's also the strength of those who support you that keep you going on, right? So allow yourself vulnerability, allow yourself moments of truth. Don't feel that, oh, I'm so exposed, harm will come to me. Trust yourself and your support system. And I'm not saying be vulnerable with all and everybody, but you know the people you can trust. If you do not feel that your inner circle or your support network is the place for that, find a professional to help you. Some people are not even allowing themselves an opportunity for vulnerability, even in professional sessions for their own support. Allow yourself to be weak. You don't always have to be strong. There are moments of weakness for all of us. So it is imperative that you open the door, kick those doors open, expose yourself so that you get to learn yourself, so that you can grow. It is important. That becomes, in fact, an opportunity for one to learn their weaknesses and strengths so they can improve in areas that they would love to improve, the areas that they know they need to improve. Learn to ask for help. Remember always to ask for help and support when and where you need it, and be the helping hand and support to others when and where they need it. It'll afford you an opportunity for expression and growth in ways that you've never imagined before. Remember, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you get to learn your strengths and weaknesses, and at the same time, it helps you to know when you need help and where you need help, right? And also when you need to be strong, whether be it for yourself or others. So think about it. Be a helping hand. As long as when you are helping from a place of you being well, provided that whatever you do in supporting and helping others does not compromise your values, your well-being, and authenticity as a being, you're fine. Go on, express yourself. You are strengthening the connections you have with those people that you are helping. And those connections are in fact important for your emotional well-being. They're important for your support network. Of course, it's not everybody that you help that is going to help you, but it is also important and good for your self-image as a being. Develop assertiveness, resilience, positive and healthy self-image. A positive and healthy self-image. Develop that for yourself. Now, when you heard me speak of spiritual wellness, you heard me say, extend grace to yourself as you do to others, right? Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. That is something that most of us struggle with. Forgive yourself. The guilt is not going to do you anything. It's not going to bring you any good. You feel it, of course, when you need to feel it. But at some point, you're going to need to let it flow and let it go. Feel it for whenever you need to feel it, because it's character building. But again, it does not need to remain. It needs to go at some point. And that starts with you forgiving yourself and letting all those things go. People will say, well, it's not okay to feel guilty. Oh, well, it is. It's character building. There is a reason it's there as one of the things that you experience. So whenever you feel guilty, feel the guilt, explore the guilt, understand why you're feeling guilty, know why you're feeling guilty. And once you've figured it out, once you understand it, once you have clarity, forgive yourself. Give yourself grace. Extend grace to yourself. Learn and grow from the experience. Let go and let flow and let all that guilt dissolve and grow from your experiences. Give yourself grace. I've said this before when I was speaking about spiritual wellness, and I'm saying it again. Forgive yourself. Give grace to yourself and others. And we're going to talk about these things in future episodes. And remember to journal for introspection, learning, and self-awareness. In a nutshell, this is just development of emotional intelligence. That's what it is. All right. So we're now moving on to the intellectual facet of mental wellness, the intellectual facet of mental wellness. Learning is a continuous process for one's life's journey and growth, right? And as we appreciate our God-given talents and gifts, we are inspired to seek for more meaning and expansion of our knowledge as we discover and explore our journey's paths, really. So with this inspired seeking comes aspiration to learn more. The more we learn, the more actively and effectively we engage the intellectual aspect of this mental wellness dimension. Nurturing creativity and even stimulating and further developing our minds as we learn, we are engaging actively, consciously, effectively the intellectual aspect of our mental wellness. Our minds need to continually be inspired and exercised just as much as our bodies do. And for wellness and well-being, we need this. If you want to be physically well, you exercise, you do activities that strengthen your body, your physical body. So is the case with your mind. Your mind needs to be continually exercised, inspired for wellness and well-being. Intentionally engaging the intellectual aspect of our beings, we can foster intellectual growth and help with concentration, memory, and even improve our critical thinking skills. We are improving in ways that we don't always imagine we're improving, but we are improving. Now, I'm being brief for this because this will be engaged in further discussions, but I'm going to give you quick tips on how to maintain your intellectual wellness, Try to exercise creativity, guys. In this day and age where ChatGPT, social media, and Google are the go-to place for answers, be creative about your answers. Seek within you, seek around you. Find ways to be creative for solutions. Find ways to be creative about your creations and all other things. Everything in this day and time is easily found out there. If you're wanting to do your children's projects, you simply Google. You simply go ChatGPT. You simply go to these things that actually feed you, but they're not helping nurture your creativity. Nurture your creativity. Exercise your creativity intentionally and consciously. Surround yourself with people who challenge your intellect. Oh, guys, don't we all love being the sharpest knife in the drawer? Don't we all love being the smartest person in the room? Listen, sometimes when you are surrounded by people who do not intellectually challenge you, you'll feel like you are very sharp, when in fact, you are the most blunt knife in the drawer. You are only as sharp as the drawer you exist in. I don't even know how to express this, but a lot of us think we are very smart until you get to experience people outside your usual networks and you realize, I'm not that smart after all. And yep, it happens. It happens. You feel pretty blunt. Yeah, it happens. It's a very humbling experience and it's eye-opening. You realize I really need to be surrounded by people who challenge my intellect. It is imperative that we have these kind of people around us. Remember, iron sharpens iron, right? So, yep, remember to surround yourself with people that challenge you to grow. Another thing to do is read and study. Read and study as much as you can, whether be it for academic purposes, personal development, or leisure. Just adopt the habit of reading and studying. Find books and articles and content resources that interest you and at the same time challenge your intellect. A lot of us like reading things that we are interested in, but how much of the content we're consuming is in fact challenging our intellect? How much of the content that we're reading is actually helping us nurture our desire to learn? And that is how much of that content that we're consuming, the books we're reading, the things that we're studying online, how much of it is helping us? How much of it is challenging our intellect? How much of it is growing who we are as people? Take courses and workshops, learn new languages, learn a new instrument, learn a new skill, improve the skills you already have, develop things, strategies that will help develop your analytical and problem-solving skills. Adopt a teachable spirit. You see, when a person learns that they are not limited to where they are, they want to learn more so they can expand in their existence, right? So when you adopt a teachable spirit, you become a lifetime learner, even if it is not for credentials, even if it's not for your work. Just building and maintaining one's intellectual wellness, that is enough. That is important, right? You're not going to remain where you are. You're going to encounter people that are far above the level that you exist in right now. And you find that you cannot even interact because you've not taken time to nurture yourself and grow yourself for the level that you aspire to, for where you're going. Life will not keep you where you are, especially if you have a purpose, especially when you're actively living out your purpose. And even if you you don't choose to actively live out your purpose, life will bring you to where it needs you to be. Your whole existence will bring you to where you need to be, where you need to be serving. Are you preparing yourself for where you need to be going? It's not abandoning the now and living in the future, but really, you've got aspirations and it's a reality. Those aspirations, are you preparing yourself? Are you growing yourself? Are you transforming yourself for those aspirations? Are you, in fact, trying to build yourself spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, physically for where you see yourself? You're going to get into rooms that you never dreamt of being in. You're going to get into places that you never imagined for yourself, because your life's purpose, your life's destiny has prepared that for you. Whether you are intentionally and consciously preparing for that space, you're destined for that space. And the universe is making room for you to be in those places because you have a purpose. You have a cosmic agreement with that space and those people that you're going to encounter. Are you preparing for those moments? Your intellectual wellness and your intellectual growth is for those moments, people. It's for those moments. Nurture your intellectual wellness. Again, we can go on forever talking about mental wellness and its benefits are endless. We can go on and talk about mental wellness and its benefits. They are endless. And the ripple effect of its impact on the various dimensions of our lives is more powerful than we realize. Good or bad, the ripple effect of mental wellness on our everyday lives, on all the dimensions of our beings, is very powerful. And we can go on about these things, but it is time to move on to the next dimension as we are pressed for time. The next dimension is the physical wellness dimension, the physical wellness pillar. It is just as important as the spiritual and mental wellness pillars. A lot of times, the people in spiritual communities tend to forget about this physical wellness. In fact, we tend to term it vanity. It's just you focusing too much on your physical is vanity. It's something that is fleeting. But to be honest, you need this physical being to be well for you to enjoy your experience and expression as a spiritual being, right? You're a spiritual being dwelling in a physical body, and this physical body needs you to take care of it so that you can have an enjoyable experience as you express your divine nature, living out your purpose and doing whatever that it is that you're here for, right? So your physical wellness is very important. Again, it is just as important as your spiritual wellness and mental wellness. Physical wellness encapsulates the very states of our physical well-being in presence and or absence of disease or stress, and the variety of healthy habits that one may practice in our intentional and conscious effort to promote and maintain the state of one's wellness and well-being. Now, we all know that properly taking care of our bodies is fundamental to our physical wellness. Previously, physical wellness was perceived as absence of illness or what is considered clinically, medically healthy. But the concept has since evolved to further encompass the quality of one's state of being in spite of the presence or absence of ailments. It has evolved to encompass the quality of one's overall well-being in spite of presence or absence of ailments. Now, quick tips, because I'm not going to dwell much on this because of time. Quick tips on how one can improve their physical wellness. First, develop a healthy lifestyle by making healthy choices to improve one's overall wellness and well-being. Healthy lifestyle. Make healthy choices to improve your overall wellness and well-being. Be in tune with your body. Be in tune with your body. And by this, I mean, be aware of how things and change affects your body. Whatever changes that happen in your environment, in your lifestyle, be aware of how these things affect your body. Be it stress, be it change in your sleeping patterns, your eating habits, the environment, and the activities that one engages in. Recognize how these changes affect your body. Recognize the changes in your body. If you notice things and symptoms that ring alarm bells, seek professional medical help. Annual checkups are necessary. Annual checkups are necessary. Develop healthy habits such as eating healthy, getting adequate sleep, physical exercise, taking one's prescribed medications as prescribed, and when considering alternative remedies and therapy, do so with guidance and support from a professional. Understand how your body works. Understand how your body works. Feel comfortable in your own body. Feel comfortable in your body. This is by no means an effort to endorse unhealthy and or indecent tendencies, but rather a reminder of how amazing our bodies are. It is very easy for us to get caught up in what other people look like, or even letting social ideals of what beauty is consume us to a point of us allowing that thief of joy that we call comparison to steal whatever little sense of joy and appreciation one may have for their body. It's very easy. It is very easy to forget to embrace our uniqueness and what our amazing bodies are capable of being and doing for our beings. Guys, our bodies are amazing. If only we take time to explore and appreciate them, take time to care for them the best way possible, ensuring to stay healthy, practicing self-care and loving the temple that carries who and what we are in this realm, we would realize just how amazing these bodies are. Our bodies may be temporal, but they are our dwelling for as long as we remain in this realm. They serve us, and we should consider returning the favor by lovingly embracing the bodies that we have, instead of getting caught up in the stereotypical ideals that may change with the ever-changing trends and seasons. All body types are beautiful as long as one is healthy and they function optimally within their body. And in fact, one must love how they look in spite of their size, right? This is all part of having a positive and healthy self-image. But I will not sit here and say size does not matter. I will not sit here in promotion of the trendy and toxic body positivity that we see displayed on social media. When people are plagued with eating disorders of all sorts, from being anorexic to being morbidly obese, these things may lead to potentially risky health situations that can compromise their well-being and wellness. So we want to address those things. In as much as I say, love the way you look in spite of your body size, I also know that this can send the wrong message, especially where there is promotion of the toxic body positivity that is being displayed on social media. People are plagued with eating disorders. People are anorexic. Between anorexic and morbidly obese, there are other conditions as well. Things that may lead to potentially risky health situations that can compromise the well-being and wellness of these people. I am not going to sit in an endorsement of toxic body positivity, but I also encourage people to appreciate their bodies, to love their bodies, to embrace who they are. They chose this body, and this body is serving them. So let that body be what you care for and nurture for health and wellness. There are people who go around engaging in scandalous behaviors just to prove that they are comfortable in their bodies, risking diseases in the process of trying to prove to everybody else that they are comfortable in their bodies. Being comfortable in one's body means more than just showing off your nakedness to the world. It is about loving and embracing how you look, perfection and imperfections, uniqueness, and exploring and knowing your body, serving it as it serves you, taking care of it as it takes care of you. See, some of you may think that I'm being hard on people and against what is socially deemed body positivity. I'm not. I'm just speaking truth to the facts that there are out there. Growing up, both my mother and grandmother were beautiful, big women. They were both health workers. They lived healthy lifestyles and active. They lived healthy and active lifestyles. Not for a moment did I think there was anything wrong with being a plus-sized person. No. Never did I think there was something wrong with being a plus-sized person. Even though I'm not, I grew up around people who were, in fact, plus size, and it was therefore normal, just as long as one is healthy and they look good and they're comfortable in whatever body size they are. My grandmother suffered hypertension. My mother suffered the same. This past year, my mother suffered a stroke that had me rethinking the whole body positivity thing that I supported all my life. I supported this body positivity all my life. I'm not talking about the indecent type. I'm talking about body positivity where you see yourself as healthy, you feel healthy, and you're living a healthy lifestyle, and you are big size still. When my mother suffered a stroke, that incident had me thinking, rethinking this whole thing. This whole thing of saying, as long as a person is healthy and they feel healthy, and they lead an active and healthy lifestyle. I used to say those things. I used to say that I had never seen my mother any smaller, saying that she was a big framed woman. I used to say she has a big frame, and it was natural to our family. And hypertension was something that was hereditary and all sorts of things. But my mother taking ill and ending up in hospital made me realize that being a big person is not hereditary. And hypertension is not hereditary as we want to make it seem. Of course, there are cases where it is hereditary, but there are other cases where it's not. I, along with other people in my family, do not suffer hypertension, except the two people who would be considered by health standard obese. Since the incident, we drastically changed a lot of things. And my mom is doing great. Her blood pressure is well controlled. Because of these drastic changes, she has lost some weight. This is something that she could not achieve when she was younger. With all the diets and lifestyle activities she tried, she could not achieve the weight loss that she has achieved now that we've made drastic changes. I'm not being hard on anyone. I'm simply saying, let us embrace our brothers and sisters and encourage them to make healthier choices instead of supporting their poor lifestyle choices. The poor lifestyle choices is what is killing society. We sit and actively watch on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, people doing what they call mukbang on social media, these eating shows or whatever they call them. This person is stuffing themselves with unhealthy food. And we say, oh, good for you. We virtually high-five them, saying you sure do love your food, eh? And all of those things that we know are not really encouraging wellness for this person. Yes, it's content creation. They're making money. They will be financially well, but will they be physically well? Will they be physically well to enjoy that money they're making from that content that you so enjoy watching? How do you enjoy watching somebody eat unhealthy food? That's just how down we are as a people. Like really, society, what have we come to? Like really, how is it okay to encourage behavior that is detrimental to people's well-being? I'm not body shaming people. I just know that it's hard to care for somebody that is sick, and it's not easy. So imagine now you're encouraging this instead of preventing the ailments. Let's rethink it, please, guys. Let's rethink it. Again, I'm not against people enjoying themselves, being positive about how they look and their plus size and plus sizes, or even this extra skinny. But it is important that whatever it is that we do, it has to be for the wellness of our being. You cannot be minus zero in size and think it's okay when you're skin and bones, and think it's a good thing, because it's not good for your organs. It's not good for any part of your being. Just as obesity is not good, so is being extra skinny. We need to really engage in these talks where we think of wellness and how we are affected by it. Imagine you cannot inhabit your body. You got to go. You have to go if you can't inhabit that body. And because you're not taking care of it, it'll give up. It'll give up. Lastly, I know this is going to upset most of my Christian listeners, but hey, reality is reality. This is going to upset you, Christian listeners, as abstinence is a standard that most Christians stand for, especially when people are not married. But we have to be very real and face real facts out there that most Christians in society at large are not practicing abstinence. Most Christians are not practicing abstinence. Most Christians and society at large are not practicing abstinence. And this is not something we can wish away with a prayer, hey? But coming to terms with the fact that these things do happen and they are well and alive in our societies, especially within the so-called holy and elected Christian community, we need to really think how we see the subject of sex. Educating people should be our starting point. Educate people to ensure healthy sexual practices, because a lot of things are going on out there and risks are plenty. Engage with caution and note that if someone is not willing to protect themselves against you and with you, especially when you're not married to them or are in just a casual relationship, it is very likely that that person will not protect you, sexually, if they get something out there. And it is very unlikely that when they are engaging with somebody else, they will think of you, they will think to protect you if they cannot protect themselves with you or against you. I don't know if you know what I mean. Even the married people sometimes fail to protect their better half because they do step out in their marriages and they get whatever from wherever they fail to protect themselves when they're stepping out, and they bring whatever to their partner. So if a person fails to protect themselves from you, it is very unlikely that they will protect themselves with another person. It is very unlikely that they will protect themselves with another person. So that should be a cause for concern. See, when a person does not think of protecting you and themselves in the heat of the moment, imagine what happens out there in the heat of the moment. They will likely throw caution to the wind, just as they do when they are with you. That's the truth. So that should concern you, particularly outside of marriage or casual relationships. Those things are things to think about. We have to think about our engagements long and hard enough. The trendy, hot girls and boys hyping each other about who and how many people they've been with is all fun and games for the moment, but in the long run, it's not as much fun. Even if you do not catch anything terminal, the emotional and spiritual suffering that may come with that is not worth it. It is not worth it. And I feel the Christian community needs to be a lot more honest with themselves. We need to be a lot more honest and a lot more open. It is disadvantageous for young people within the church to know about sex from the world. It is not empowering to our young people in the church to not know what they should know about sex and sexual health from the church, from a safe place, from a safe space as the church. If the church does not equip them and empower them, they will learn from the world. They will learn from the world and trust the world to teach them. Trust the world that the world will not spare them. The world will not leave them for some time later. The world will exploit the opportunity so that by the time they change their minds, a lot would have gone wrong. A lot would have gone wrong by the time they change their minds. So please pardon me for explicitly stating the obvious. We go to church for healing. We go to church and pastor talks about, oh, receive your healing, receive this and that. And there is no health ministry in the church that is teaching people how to protect themselves, how to take care of themselves. Even though we are not endorsing sexual immorality, even though we're not endorsing sexual activity outside of marriage, but it is empowering to our people to know how to protect themselves, to know about sexual health from a safe space as the church. There are people in marriages who are getting sick within their marriages because their husbands were church boys and their wives were church girls, and they step out. Temptation comes in, they step out. They don't know what to do to protect each other. The safe space did not serve and empower them. And when the Christian platforms such as mine speak on these things, we're saying, oh, they're not being so Christian, they're not being so holy. I'm sorry. God is holy. God is holy. I'm trying my best, but I can't do it without grace. So I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say what I'm sent to say. Churches should empower people. You should have health ministries within your churches. So when you're talking about people receiving healing, it should not be just healing falling from somewhere from the sky. It should be healing that starts from within, that's equipped with knowledge, that's equipped with understanding that God heals you from within you. God does not heal you from outside somewhere. All right? They're waiting to feel goosebumps. I received the healing. At that time, God has been working within them for as long as He's been working. What you need to be doing as pastor, as pastor's wife, you need to be establishing a ministry that helps your people. Let's talk that wellness. Physical wellness is important even to you Christians, because even if we receive miracles, we still need to have the honest talks about wellness. So now I've spent enough time on this. Now we're moving on to the next dimension, which is social wellness. Social wellness. Again, social wellness is one of those dynamic pillars that I feel is more often than not neglected, especially in this day and age where it is easy to connect and disconnect, when and where there is no depth to the level of our connections. There is no depth to the level of connections we make, as social networks are just a click away. So whatever connections we make are just a click away. And it seems that society has no need to conduct themselves in the old-fashioned way where one would respect and honor oneself and others. You remember, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you kind of Moors, right? Creating and maintaining meaningful relationships is great for our beings. It fosters our sense of belonging. We all know that humans are inherently social as a species. We rely heavily on the cooperation of our networks and connections for our survival and for us to thrive. We rely on our connectedness to each other. As a species, we are social. So for this reason, social wellness, even though a much neglected dimension, is very crucial for our wellness and well-being. Social wellness speaks to our ability to successfully connect, relate, and interact with others within our personal spaces and global community at large in a healthy manner. It is one thing to connect, relate, and interact with others, but it is a totally different thing to connect, relate, and interact with others in a healthy manner. And also, it is about us taking up spaces and fulfilling our personal roles and living out our life's purposes, serving and impacting the greater whole, even with whatever little effect we submit to the whole in our everyday interactions and contributing to communities and the world at large. This is part of our social wellness. This includes are exercising good and effective communication skills, intimacy with others, creating bonds with family, friends, and creating strong support networks in our inner and outer worlds. These things are part of our social wellness, and that's what social wellness speaks to. Most importantly, respecting and honoring self and others as we contribute to community building efforts in our immediate communities and the world at large to create a place for others to express and exercise their beings without fear, but rather a sense of belonging. We want to create a place for others to belong just as much as we want a place to belong in this world, in our communities. Never for a moment think that you are a lone particle out there floating, being who you are without others. They are a part of you and you are a part of them. So you honoring yourself and others, treating them with respect, doing to others as you'd have them do unto you, creating for yourself and others a place where expression of self and being can be exercised without fear, but a sense of belonging, a sense of freedom is what our social wellness speaks to. That's what our social wellness is all about. Now, I will not speak at length on social wellness, as it may occasionally form part of our wellness journey as we focus on spiritual wellness and psychological well-being in relationships. So it's really relational wellness. So I, again, am going to just be brief, and I'll give quick tips on how to improve one's social wellness. Tip number 1 is learn good and healthy communication skills. Learn good and healthy communication skills. And I think it's with every pillar. Communication skills go a long way. Be aware of the impact you can and or have on your community and the impact that same community has on you. Be aware of the impact you can or have already on your community and the impact that same community has on you. Learn to communicate and share your thoughts, feelings, and ideas, especially if it'll help make a positive impact in your community. Learn to communicate and share your thoughts, feelings, and ideas if it will help make a positive impact in your community and relations. Of course, it's not everybody that you will be sharing your thoughts and feelings and ideas with concerning your community building efforts. Of course, it's not, but there are networks within your community that are creating impact that is for the better good of the community. Those are the people that you should be communicating your thoughts and feelings and ideas to, especially again, if it is going to help create a better society, if it's going to help create the kind of community that you want to live in, the kind of environment that you want to exist in. Of course, you go on and communicate these things and take action, be part of that change. Take part and contribute to your community building efforts. Be the agent of the change that you want to see in your community. No matter how small your contribution is, just do your part and everybody else will catch up. Everybody else will catch up if they are not already taking part in these efforts. Another tip is Be able to draw boundaries for yourself and others. We all know that boundaries are important. We know the importance of boundaries, especially for your wellness and well-being. And within communities, boundaries are important. Within your various social structures, be it your internal structures or outer structures, ensure to draw those boundaries. Ensure to exercise the boundaries, because you can be exasperated for lack of boundaries. You can be exasperated for lack of boundaries, and before you know it, you are no longer well. In fact, you'll start resenting the social spaces wherein you exist. So be sure to draw boundaries and exercise them. Now, as one creates connections and networks, learn to keep in touch and staying connected to others, as this maintains and strengthens your connections to those people. Learn to stay in touch and staying connected to others. A lot of us tend to just have connections for connection's sake, and we only use them when we need them. We never learn to nurture relations. We never learn to nurture our connections, to strengthen them. We only call people when and where they need it. That can cause people to feel used and not willing to help you, or not willing to support you in your initiatives. And even within your internal structures, if you have friends, if you have family, if you have, colleagues that you work closely with, you want to remain in touch, even if it's not calling them frequently or whatever, but make time to strengthen and nurture these connections, these networks. Whilst it's important to have close-knit networks or closed circles, you still have to have associations outside of your closed circle. We have learned a way of being that does not help, that does not support our well-being, our success as beings. Of course, close circles are for your intimate life, but then there are those networks that you need to help you as you move forward. Those networks that will lift you up, those networks that will propel you forward in your journey. And it does not matter what it is that you'll be in need of. You will need journey partners here and there. And that's what your social spaces are for. That's why it is important that we exercise good conduct. That's why I always remind people, remember that how one conducts themselves can impact positively or negatively on all relations, be it personal or general associations. It is imperative that we are ever cognizant of our conduct. We are to be ever cognizant of our conduct. I do not mean that we should be stifling our beings to death in the name of conduct. No, but we should pause and think, does the expression of me right now in this moment honor me? Would I be able to live with the effects of how I carry myself in the heat of the moment? Would I be able to live with the effects of how I'm expressing myself right at this now moment that I'm living? Even as I'm being present to my here and now, it is important that one carries themselves in a manner that honors themselves in the here and now with a future in mind. I'm not saying ever live in the future, but I'm saying you need to be cognizant of the fact that how you are expressing yourself at this very moment may have an impact on your loved ones. How you are expressing yourself in this very moment can have a negative or positive impact on your future. I'm not saying live there in the future, no. But you want to take a moment, pause, ask yourself, is this conduct honoring God, the divine, the source? Is this conduct honoring my spouse? Is this conduct honoring my partner? Is this conduct honoring my daughter, my son, my family, my friends and networks, my community? And most importantly, is this conduct honoring me as a being connected to this greater whole? I know that I always say, just be who you are. But it is important to always remember that you are not a lone particle floating apart from the greater whole. The sad reality is that you are an active part of this whole. You are in it. You are in it. You are it, and it is you. Whether you partake in it, living your life passively or consciously and with intent, your actions and inactions have an effect just as much as those who consciously and intentionally partake in this greater whole. Now, whatever it is that you do it with the understanding that your conduct, your expressions are not just impacting you. We're told to be who you are, live in the now. Yes, live in the now. Enjoy the now. Savor every moment. In fact, make sure that you let it be a part of you and you be a part of it. But you see, you have a responsibility to the whole. You have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to the source. Because you are all of these things and they are you. So whatever it is, whatever manner you express and exercise yourself in, you can trust that it will impact everything and everyone around you. And don't look at them as something apart from you. They are a part of you. God is a part of you. You are a part of God. Your neighbor, your spouse, your children, your mother, your father, your friends and networks, your community networks, they are a part of you. You cannot count yourself out. Whether you choose to live in those communities and in those homes with those people without the awareness of your connectedness to them, whether you choose to participate in life with those people passively, you still are a part of them. And your actions and inactions, your decisions and lack thereof are impacting the whole. It matters not whether you are partaking in this whole passively or consciously and with intent. You have to understand your role is played whether you are being present to it or not. Now, this is relational wellness and a puzzle, and it is something that we will occasionally discuss as we journey together, talking heart to heart. Now, this takes us to the next pillar that is another area of challenge for most people, and that is vocational or occupational wellness. I remember back when I worked in corporate, I struggled with this area. In fact, I hated my job. I hated my job so much that I was intentionally terrible at doing the job. And I don't know why. At first, I loved the job. It was a moment of exploration for me. But I eventually got to hate that job. I eventually hated the environment. In fact, it wasn't so much that the job was demanding or anything. It's just the environment. It wasn't, how do I explain it? It just wasn't conducive. And I will share, but I'm going to move on to this pillar of wellness that is often referred to as professional wellness pillar, the occupational and vocational wellness. Now, for most people, life in this area starts when they are leaving high school for tertiary education, where the latter stages of their tertiary education, they have to participate in the workforce in the form of practicals, or even others just leaving straight out of high school, not going to college, just entering the workforce or starting up businesses and stuff, right? So for most people, their vocational and occupational wellness starts there. It starts with the academic part of one's life, well into a career that one may practice whatever vocational choice they made, right? So for most people, that's how it all starts. And most people in our societies do not necessarily follow the path of their purpose and calling, but rather they would follow a path that seems most appealing based on society's opinion and the lucrative nature of the path, or even influence from parents. There are many people actually who are well and highly qualified for the jobs they do, for their professional path. They are well and highly qualified for the path they followed, but they find no fulfillment, and this is for various reasons, right? So this area of one's wellness is mostly impacted by the work environment and how one's occupation makes them feel, whether be it their professional or academic occupation. How that occupation makes them feel makes all the difference. How satisfied and aligned one feels with what they do can impact their overall wellness. It can impact their overall wellness, especially if not attended to. If this area remains unattended over time and much longer, it will affect their overall wellness. Now, for one to maintain a higher quality of wellness in this dimension, seeking a fulfilling career that allows room for one to actively live out their purpose and passions, also aligning to one's values, can contribute immensely to one's occupational wealth. I know one thing about knowing what your purpose is, understanding what it is. This thing called purpose can frustrate you if you're not living it out. If you're not able to integrate, and it's in fact something that most people suffer with, because they have chosen paths that they chose for various reasons before they even got to know themselves, before they even got to know their purpose, right? So by the time they get to know what their purpose is, they end up not being able to integrate their passions and purpose to their current career for some reason. The career does not allow them to exercise whatever it is because it's not necessarily aligned to what they're doing right now. So they become frustrated. And sometimes the spiritual energy associated with you knowing your purpose, with demand for what it is that you need to be and do out there, is too greater than what you're pursuing. And for most people, they feel vulnerable, they feel confused. But I'm not going to go in depth on the spiritual aspect of this, but just the general things that happen when people are in spaces where they feel unfulfilled. The most common stressor in society today is our jobs and the demand that comes from the positions we hold in our places. That's the most common stressor. A lot of people are ill because of job-related stresses. Sometimes the job itself is not as demanding. No, the job or the position may not be as demanding or stressful, but the work environment, the work environment can be inconducive for the individual for various reasons. And in those cases, it's very hard for people to up and live because, you've got a mortgage, you've got car note payments, you've got all sorts of things going on in your life. You've got children who are going to private schools, you've got a lot of things that you need to be taken care of. You've got an established lifestyle that you may not want to scale back on, and you're not fulfilled in this work environment. For other people, it is very difficult to switch work environments because they are worried about upward mobility. They don't want to start at a lower grade, at a lower pay grade. You find that they're not able to get into positions in other workspaces that they already occupy, and they remain unhappy because you are in a managerial position where you are, or maybe even a senior level of your occupation, even if it's not managerial, but it's still a senior level where you're earning a paycheck that you wouldn't necessarily get in the market if you were to start elsewhere. Some people are not willing to take such risks and even compromise, right? So they remain in spaces where their wellness is compromised. Various studies, like one published by the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, asserts that employees who experience high levels of job satisfaction tend to report better overall wellness and well-being than those who do not. So, I don't know about you, but I know that job satisfaction is very important. Just as all other aspects of your wellness are, just as all other areas of your life are important, your occupational wellness is important. It's important. You may want to invest in this area of your well-being because your children rely on you. Your family needs you. Your job can replace you. Your job can replace you. As soon as you drop dead, before your nose will freeze in the morgue, they already have an advertisement out for your replacement. So you want to think well and hard when you're holding on to those places that no longer serve you, where you can no longer serve. You want to think long and hard. And I'm not saying that up and leave, but there are positions that no longer serve who you are as a being. There are positions and even departments within your business environment where you can move from one position to the next within the same business. You can change teams. You can go to a different team as long as you are skilled to operate in that section. Your skill set is suited to whatever section. Your passions and purpose are suited to that section of your business. Why not move if you're not feeling okay where you are? And if the overall environment within the business is not conducive for you, then you need to rethink. Do I need to move to a different business somewhere out there? Do I need to maybe start over? Do I need to be starting my own thing? Now, quick tips on how one can maintain their occupational wellness. Quick tips. Start recognizing that one's wellness is their responsibility and engage your occupation with the aim of making it enjoyable for you and taking personal satisfaction in whatever it is that you do in your occupation. Whatever your occupation, take personal satisfaction. Make it enjoyable. Find ways. Be creative about what you do. Make your workspace, whatever little corner, even if you don't have a big office, you just have a little booth, make that little space, that little environment of yours, a place where you enjoy being and take pride in what you do, love what you do, give it your best, find ways to enjoy whatever it is that you do. Create relationships and connections with your colleagues to make your work environment enjoyable and conducive for you, and even for them. When you create those connections with your colleagues to improve your work environment, It does not only impact your wellness, it also impacts their wellness. So you want to consider that. Learn effective communication skills, good work skills, and job-related skills that'll help you along the way, that'll help you along your journey. Remember how I mentioned moving from one business unit to the next within the same environment? When you hone your work-related skills, your job-related skills, you'll find that you acquire skills that help you to serve other areas, other units, other departments within the same business if you're not ready to part ways with that business for reasons like maintaining the same pay grade or upward mobility, because there are people who choose to remain in certain companies for upward mobility. They don't think they can get opportunities outside of the business wherein they operate. So as you want to make the place enjoyable for you, ensure that you enhance your skills for where you're going and for what you want to do, and to also make your job or occupation enjoyable. Another thing to consider is choosing careers that suit your personality, interests, talents, and are in line with one's life purpose, passions, and values. This helps. But for most people, one's life purpose is discovered later. It's discovered later when they're already established in their careers, when they're already in positions that they've occupied and have gone all the way up the ladder of their career choice or their career path. Now, in such cases, it's very difficult because you find that you are in a career path that does not necessarily make room for you to integrate whatever your life's purpose to what you're doing, right? But you feel called to do whatever it is that your life purpose calls you to. In such cases, what I do is recommend that the person find an outlet, whether it be through volunteering or side hustles, just to have an outlet to let out this spiritual energy that comes with one's life purpose. Just to have an avenue for a person to live out their life's purpose. And who knows, that side hustle may just turn out to be your next career opportunity. That side hustle that you start as an outlet for your expression may very well be your next opportunity. It may very well be a stepping stone to your entrepreneurial journey. It may very well be something bigger than you imagined for yourself. If you cannot integrate your life's purpose and passions, your newly discovered life's purpose and passions to what you're already doing, to your readily established career, then again, if you do not find it hard to walk away and start over, do so. If you feel the pull to walking away from all of it to establishing a place for your expression and to serve impactfully, do so. Or find a better suited occupation for your expression. Why not? Why not? A lot of us do not think that our callings are greater than earning a paycheck, but they are. Your calling is too great to ignore. Your purpose is too great to ignore. Your divine nature is waiting for you. You are busy pursuing a paycheck. I'm not saying leave your job, but I'm saying find an outlet for you to allow your divine self, your inner being, your inner man, exercise its divine nature through you. Live out its purpose through you as you do whatever it is that you're doing. Your life's purpose is divine. It's your cosmic agreement. It's who you are. It's not just what you do, it's who you are. Allow yourself expression and exercise of your divine nature unhindered. It isn't just what you do, it is who you are. And that's something that we don't learn from school. That's something that we don't learn in life until later on. We realize, I've not been who I am. I've not lived. I've not exercised my expression. I've not exercised my divine nature, all in the name of career and earning a paycheck. But really, you need to incorporate whoever you are, whatever it is that you think you are, whatever it is you feel called to do, to what you're already doing. And if you cannot do that, maybe it's time for a change. Another way of finding fulfillment in what you do is setting career goals and achieving them. Setting career goals and achieving them is another way to find fulfillment. Remember to always find an outlet to live out your life's purpose if you cannot integrate it to what you're already doing. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm advocating for people, if it seems that I'm advocating for people to live what they're doing. No, I'm not saying live what you're doing, but ensure that whatever it is does not stifle the expression of who you are as a divine being. It does not stifle your being who you are created to be. You're here for a greater purpose than just a paycheck. You shouldn't die for a paycheck, guys. I know money is essential. I know it's necessary for you to have money, but I can tell you a lot of people are sick from being in toxic work environments, from being frustrated by the demands of their job. I remember there was a time that I was sick from going to the same place that I hated. There were times I would go to work 2 weeks out of a month. I'd be booked off sick. I'd just get sick being in that environment. I'd suffer anxiety attacks for no reason. Not that there was anything that my job was not as demanding, guys. It was not high stress, but also because I already knew what my calling was. I already knew what it is that I needed to be doing. I was just not doing it. I was pursuing a paycheck. I was afraid to actually just step out and do what I was supposed to be doing. In fact, had I stepped out 2 years into that job, I wouldn't have been sick. I knew going into that job that I'd only be there 2 years. And then for some reason, I said, oh, paycheck. I thought of all the responsibilities that I had and everything, and I was not willing to just up and go. And the last year of my being at that job was me being constantly sick. The first 2 years going into that job, I knew I'd be there for 2 years. But the minute I extended my being there, things started changing. Like I said, I knew my going in there, I had 2 years to be there to make my impact and move. But after the 2 years was done, God kept nudging me, hey, get out of there, And I didn't. The next thing I get is a boss that is indifferent. But it's not about him. Remember, it isn't about him. It's about me. It's about me. It has nothing to do with him. The energy that he brings was the energy that was sent by my life's purpose and calling for me to depart from that place. It isn't about him. When I was in that position, I thought, damn, this person is this and that and that. But truth is, it wasn't about him. I went into that place knowing that I've got 2 years to be there and not more. But my pursuit for the paycheck changed all of that, right? So the spirit started changing for me. From being fulfilled in what I do, things started going haywire. I knew that I'm going into this for such a period. Thereafter, I have to move on. But I didn't. In fact, I stayed for the paycheck. It was good. But was it worth the trouble that I went through? Was it worth the pain that I suffered? God just sent me a person to push me out. Imagine getting up to go to work, and you get to work, you're not doing anything. You're rendered redundant. Not because you don't know how to do the work that you do. No, because you are to be out of that place. I remember going to work only to drive in, log in, and roam around doing nothing, and drive out to go sit at a restaurant doing what I need to be doing. I was just getting a paycheck to do what I do somewhere else, not in that space. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Like, I'd leave the office to go sit at a restaurant, do the work that I'm supposed to be doing, and then go back to the office, check in, see what there is to be done, and I find nothing. For 2.5 years, things went on like that. For 2.5 years, things went on like that. And every time I'm in that space, I'd fall sick. I didn't understand why I was falling sick, because I had worked there before for 3 months before I went in with the knowing that I'd be there 2 years. I'd fall sick for no reason. And I'd wonder, what is it with the spiritual energy of this place? And in my feeling sick, I'd say to a colleague or to even my manager, listen, I'm going to step out for some air. I'm not feeling okay. And it'd say, go home. On my drive home, the minute I set foot out of the gates, the minute I drive out of the gates of that place, I am well. I am well, like nothing happened. I'd go to work 3 hours later than my start time at work. Of course, we had flexi hours and stuff, but I knew I had to be at work at 8 and I'd arrive there at 11, only to log in to say I'm present. It is like mucking the register and leave the place to go somewhere else and do whatever it is that I'm doing. Come back, log in, check, oh, I have nothing to do, and get away from the laptop. And if I decide for a moment to sit a minute or a second longer than I need to be at that workstation, I'd get sick. I never understood what was wrong with me and that place until I walked out and I remembered that, baby girl, going there, you knew you had only 2 years to be in that place and no more. Why did you stay much longer? Why did you need to be there much longer than needed? Anyhow, that's what set me free. I walked away and I do what I do and I enjoy it. I appreciate it and I have fulfillment in it. So it may not necessarily be your story. It may not necessarily be your path, but all I'm asking for you is find outlets for expression, find a way to integrate your purpose and passions to what you do. As you set those career goals, kill them, but make sure that which you do honors who you are. Because your purpose is not just purpose. It's not just a calling. It's not just a path. It is who you are as a being. We can talk forever on this, but I'm going to move on to the next pillar, that is environmental wellness. Environmental wellness. I'm moving on to the next pillar, environmental wellness. The environmental wellness dimension of our well-being is often neglected, and it's sad because it need not be. In fact, we exist in these environments and they are well placed to support our wellness and well-being, right? So I don't know why we do this. I don't know why we neglect this pillar of our well-being, but it is important. It is important. Environmental wellness really focuses on one's immediate environment being healthy and nurturing to support and maintain the quality of the state of their well-being, as well as having a conscious awareness and respect for our environments. And this is nature included, by the way. See, with the great environmental neglect globally, we're now reaping the rewards through the unstable state of affairs, climate change, pollution, and scarcity of resources. These impacts have a daily effect on our daily lives and activities. And it seems that we're doing very little to preserve and conserve nature and our environments at large. Now, in efforts to create and promote environmental wellness, we need to adopt daily habits, a way of life that is harmonious with the earth, eliminating activities that can cause harm when and where possible. We need to consider that conservation of our environment is the starting point, whether be it your immediate or the outer natural spaces. Conserving our environment is the starting point. How do we do this? Now, you can start with creating a home environment that promotes and supports wellness. Declutter your home. Make use of natural light. Have indoor plants that will help improve your mood and air quality in your home. Use furnishings that are made of natural materials. Use natural materials as much as possible. Create a balance between the workspace and living space within your home to ensure the atmosphere is positive and relaxing as possible. And also keep the spiritual energy within your home in check. A lot of us are ignorant of the spiritual energy in our home, the levels of the spiritual energy in our homes. Everything in our home conserves energy. So if you're using materials that are not supporting the balance of the spiritual energy in your home, it can be exhausting for you. It can cause environmental fatigue and depression. And if you're living in areas where the climate is rainy most of the year, people in those regions tend to suffer depression. So you may want to ensure that your home has access to natural light as well as the plants. And your paint colors can improve your home. Choose paint colors that pep up your mood. And also fabrics that you use within the home, like your cushions, your throws, or whatever. Let it be something that will soothe you. Use natural materials that feel good to touch, and healthy eating as well in your home is helpful for your mood. Ensure to eat food that helps pep up your mood as well, right? And when I'm saying food that helps pep up your mood, find healthy options that help with pepping up your mood. Because remember, your food also has energy. So if you're bringing in bad food in your home, it sort of destroys energy in your home. And it's something that we don't talk about much, but yeah, it does. And also practicing the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. You practice those, you can never go wrong. Manage your resources, be it electricity, be it water. Manage your resources. Manage resources as much as possible. Globally, people are feeling the impact. Of mismanagement of resources. Conserve water where possible. That water that you used for washing your dishes, use it to water your garden. The water that you used for soaking when you bath, use it for watering your garden. Use it to flush your toilet. Just recycle. Instead of having your pool open throughout the day, when you're not using your pool, cover it. Cover your pool when you're not using it. Cover it. It'll save you on maintenance cost. It'll save you. When you have a pool cover that insulates, it'll save it'll save you like at least 90 to 95% of that wind hit evaporation. It'll be minimized. You will not have as much costs when it comes to maintaining your pool. because that debris that you find at the bottom of your pool will not be there when your pool is covered, right? And you won't have to constantly refill because evaporation is less. So really consider preserving water. Have systems within your home that are eco-friendly. Instead of having lights on all over your home or having your AC on throughout the day when you don't need it, find ways to minimize consumption of energy. Globally, we feel the impact of mismanagement of resources that we have. Water scarcity is a reality for most people. Power outages are an everyday reality for some people. And it's not because governments are not doing enough. It's just we are also mismanaging the resources. Avoid and reduce the use of chemicals whenever and wherever possible. Reduce the use of chemicals. There are times in our homes when we're cleaning, you could use natural detergents. You could use things that you can find in your home for your cleaning of surfaces, for your laundry. Use things that are natural, that do not harm your environment. If something harms your environment, imagine what it does to your skin. Imagine what it does to you when you ingest it, Consider reducing use of chemicals. Avoid it if you can. Have a relationship with nature around you. Spend time in nature, admiring it, taking care of it as much as you can. It will respond. It will respond. Remember, it is imperative that we take care of Mother Earth just as much as we can for future generations to inherit a beautiful and habitable planet. We must do these things. We must take care of nature. We must take care of our planet. Nature responds well to love, It responds. Just as it reacts to our neglect, it'll respond to your love. So give it love. It will love you back. It will love you back and it'll preserve itself for your future generations. Remember that Mother Earth is ever ready to receive you, to love you, encapsulate you. So leave this place a beautiful and habitable planet for future generations. All right. Last but not least is financial wellness pillar. Last but not least is the financial wellness pillar. Most of the time when one thinks of wellness and well-being, finances are not always the first thing that comes to mind, right? But for most people, finances are the number one cause of stress, and our finances can have a negative and heavy impact on the various areas of our lives. And it's something that most of us are not willing to face head on. This is something that most of us are not ready to discuss. But really, financial wellness is important. Financial struggles and unstable financial situations are at the heart of most broken homes. Divorces, finances are at the heart of most divorces. Reasons from stress-related illnesses and day-to-day problems resulting from the poor choices that were informed by bad financial situations. Financial struggles and unstable financial situations are at the heart of many problems, and we're not talking about it enough. We have the God will provide mentality and not managing that which God provides. We don't have to talk about it or make a plan. And that plan is lending to pay another loan, lending to pay one more loan, lending and lending and lending until you can lend no more. Financial struggles and unstable financial situations are at the heart of many broken homes. They are the reason for some stress-related illnesses and day-to-day problems resulting from poor choices that were informed by bad financial situations. What are we going to do about that? Being financially literate and taking charge of our finances, staying on top of our financial situations, planning and taking action to remedy our situations, creating and maintaining a well balanced financial life is very important. It is very important, and we do not talk about it enough. There are many people who are suffering in this area to a point of self-deletion. There are people who will self-delete because they are stressed and they have nobody to talk to. They have nobody to talk to because we don't want to talk about it. We're taught not to talk about finances. We're taught not to discuss finances. Do what you have to do. That's the mentality we carry. Or God will provide. But when God provides, how are you managing that which God provides? That's something we don't talk about, Now, the quick tips are just learn financial literacy. Seek professional help when you need it. Seek professional help. Get a financial advisor. Get some kind of professional to help you manage your finances. If you're not managing, you're not coping, and the numbers are not making sense and you need help, get professional help. Get professional help. Learn and explore new ways of making and saving more money when and where possible. Learn to save. Explore ways to make more and save. For some people, money in their pockets is making them itch, People itch when they have money in their pockets. They're taught to spend more than saving. Make sure that you live within your means. Live within your means. Don't ever make choices spur of the moment. Stop the impulsiveness. That money does not need to bore holes in your pocket. If you feel itchy, go exercise. If you feel an itch to purchase things you do not need, go exercise. Go cook whatever you have in the house. Go spend time in meditation or something. Just don't spend for the sake of spending. Just because you got money in your pocket you want to spend. No. Take responsibility for your finances. Take responsibility for your finances by making choices that promote financial wellness. Take responsibility for your finances by maintaining and monitoring your budget, monitoring and reviewing one's bank statements and credit reports, paying your bills on time. Take action. Take action. Find ways to remedy your financial situation. Communicate. Communicate your need for help. Communicate your need for help. A lot of people in this day and age have lost their jobs, right? And you find that the husband or the wife is the breadwinner and the entire family is dependent on one person. Communicate. Tell them you're overstretched. If you're the breadwinner in the house, tell them you are overstretched. If your mother and whoever else immediate family members are dependent on you and they're calling you from wherever for assistance, where you are overstretched, let them know. Do not carry the burden and find yourself in a financial mess that may affect your overall wellness. Do not do that. Learn to communicate. It is okay for them to understand that you do not have. It is okay for them to learn that you do not have and you cannot overstretch yourself. Do not lend to go and assist somebody that cannot pay you back. You don't even have to learn to assist them. Assist them from what you have. And if you do not have to assist, let them know I can't assist you because I do not have. And this is not to promote lack mentality. Even your dependents, let them know, okay, I understand you asked me to get you 1, 2, 3, but this month is a little tight. I'm a bit overstretched. And guess what? I will plan and I will get it for you next month or whenever possible. Give them a time frame so then you set a goal to get that thing. That will teach your dependents, particularly children, financial literacy. It'll teach them management and planning of their resources, planning for their resources. They will learn. It's a lot of people think, telling your children that you're overstretched instills in them lack mentality, when in fact, when things are communicated well, you will not be instilling lack mentality. What you will be teaching your children is planning, financial literacy, and management of resources. They will learn to manage their resources. They will learn how to manage and plan for what they have. Communicate. And communicate in a healthy manner, not with the intent to instill lack, but with intention to teach planning and management of resources, financial literacy. Our children should grow with these skills. They don't teach them in school. That's why most of us are suffering in our adulthood. The reality and awareness of financial wellness should be something our children grow with. It should be something inculcated in our families. It should be something that our dependents know, be it adult dependents or young children. They should know and understand, because you find yourself overstretched to a point of self-deleting, to a point of collapsing. Even if you don't self-delete, you can be sick from stress-related ailments, and you find that it is financial stress, something that you could have easily managed had you communicated your need for help. Get help when you need it. Please do. Do not hesitate. Do not think that people will look at you as somebody that's a failure or something. You perceive that about yourself, not the people who are dependent on you. They'll in fact understand that you're doing your best to provide for them, instead of you overstretching yourself to a point of collapse. Although our focus will be on spiritual and mental wellness in relationships, I thought it is important that we explore the wellness concept at length, and I share a little bit about other dimensions of wellness and well-being and their effects, so that as we journey together talking heart to heart about spiritual and mental wellness in relationships, we are also all aware of how these other pillars of wellness can affect the areas we choose to focus on. Now, remember that your wellness is more than just physical health. It is a holistic approach encompassing the mind, body, and spirit. Wellness is about finding a well-intended balance and harmony in the various aspects of our lives. Now, always remember that all these pillars or dimensions of wellness are important, interconnected, interdependent, codependent, and can impact each other at any given time should there be any imbalance that is left unattended. Now, this concludes our exploration of the wellness concept. I hope you found these insights valuable. Remember that attainment of wellness is a journey and not a destination. Take time to prioritize yourself, your wellness, and well-being. I encourage you to journal along your journey. It helps. I encourage you to reflect on your wellness journey. What areas could use a little more attention, and what small steps you can take to make positive changes in your life. These reflections are necessary. These reflections are necessary. Your wellness is important. Our next episode is the whole human. I hope you will tune in as we continue to journey together, talking heart to heart. Now, remember, this podcast show is available to you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, and of course, our website at www.agapewellness-center.com. Like, subscribe, share, and tune in again for more. You can also reach out to us through social media pages. We are available on Instagram as at Agape Wellness Coaching and on Twitter as at Agape Wellness CC. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the wellness concept. Remember, it is a journey and not a destination. It sure has been a wonderful time spent here with you, but it is time for me to move and leave you until the next episode. This is your host, Mandy, signing out until the next episode. Shalom.